Sovereign citizens, final acknowledgments and postscript, the return of equity and the end of fiction. 1. Acknowledgments. Every work that touches law must, at its core, acknowledge paradox, the same instrument that binds also frees. Gratitude is due not only to scholars, jurists, and reformers, but to the unseen generations who endured under systems they did not design yet never stopped questioning. Their silent endurance is the reason this study exists. Special acknowledgement is owed to the forgotten clerks who drafted laws they themselves could not afford to break, and to the teachers who whispered, "Not all rules are just, but all justice begins with understanding." So what does that actually mean? It means every revolution starts with a librarian. Footnote. The acknowledgement honors intellectual ancestors and the moral debt owed to both critics and administrators of law. 2. Reflection on authority. Authority without accountability becomes tyranny. Accountability without understanding becomes chaos. The balance between them, that slender thread called equity, is the civilization's heartbeat. Law, at its highest form, is not about control but coherence. It aligns man's intent with the consequence of his word. And when the system forgets this, remedy begins with one person quietly writing a proper notice. Footnote. Authority, divorced from moral purpose, collapses. Lawful remedy begins with informed articulation and private record. 3. The humor of redemption. There is a quiet comedy in discovering that the keys to liberation were always in your own drawer, usually under unpaid bills. Humanity has spent centuries outsourcing its conscience to councils, its wealth to banks, and its voice to representatives. The punchline is that sovereignty never left the room. So what does that actually mean? It means the system was never broken, just misfiled. Footnote. Humor acts as a solvent for cynicism, laughter restores proportion to the study of law and power. 4. The living record. The final remedy is not written in a statute, but in conduct. A man becomes lawful not by knowing every code, but by living in harmony with the few that matter: honesty, consent, and accountability. Once those are upheld, every contract, trust, and judgment begins to serve rather than enslave. So what does that actually mean? It means the real record is not what's filed, it's what's remembered. Footnote. Living law arises from moral consistency. Paperwork without integrity remains fiction. 5. Closing to the reader. The purpose of this work has never been rebellion, it has been remembrance. Law was not invented to conquer man, but to define his promises. The true revolution is not political, it is administrative, the return of authorship to the individual. So, go file wisely. Read deeply. Laugh often. And when someone asks who gave you the right, simply reply, "I did, and I signed for it." Footnote. The conclusion restores authorship and conscience as the dual instruments of lawful sovereignty. 6. Final word. In the end, every statute is temporary, every empire conditional, and every truth self-executing. The law is not power, it is poetry written in ink that only the aware can see. And when the last courtroom closes, equity will still whisper, "Balance restored." Footnote. Moral equilibrium transcends jurisdiction, lawful remedy endures beyond institutional authority.